So we just finished chapter 1, right?
Yes, sir.
We all feel amazingly confident about the test.
Oh, yes, sir.
Except for number 2.
Oh, yeah. No, sir. Uh-oh. That's not good. Today we'll move on to chapter 2. Like I said, I do not have the test corrections ready for you today. We'll either do test corrections on Thursday or Friday. Tomorrow we've got Titan time. I want you to have a full class period for test corrections. So not tomorrow. So either Thursday or Friday. Okay? So today, chapter 2, section 1. Moving on to our next chapter, writing and graphing inequalities. Can anyone raise your hand and tell me what an inequality is? It could be equal. With less than or equal to, or greater than or equal to, right? So it could be equal to. But do we use an equal sign? No. For an equation, we use an equal sign. For an inequality, we use one of 4 symbols, right? So, an inequality is a mathematical sentence that compares expressions. Oh, really? Very nice. So you're just comparing 2 expressions with either less than, greater than, less than or equal to, or greater than or equal to. Right? You guys remember this from pre-algebra? Kind of? These symbols? An inequality contains the symbol less than, greater than, less than or equal to, or greater than or equal to. You guys remember those 4 symbols? It's like an alligator mouth. Alligator wants to eat the bigger thing. So if it's this way, it's less than, because this is the bigger side over here. If it's this way, it's greater than, because it's eating the bigger thing. Okay? And then a line under it just means or equal to. To write an inequality, look for the following phrases to determine what inequality symbol to use. So if there's no line under it, the phrases are pretty straightforward. For the less than symbol, it's is less than or is fewer than. Those are pretty straightforward, right? Yep. For greater than, it's greater than, is more than. Those are straightforward as well. When we throw the line under there, the phrases can sometimes trip people up. Is less than or equal to, that one's pretty easy. But this one and this one sometimes trip people up. Is at most and is no more than. Some students see the word most and more than, and they want to put greater than or equal to, just because they see those 2 words. But if you really think about it, if something is at most something, can it be greater than that thing? No, so it's got to be less than or equal to. Same thing with is no more than. If it's no more than, it cannot be greater than that thing, so it's got to be less than or equal to. Does that make sense? Similarly, for is greater than or equal to, people look at this phrase, see the word least, look at this phrase and see the word less, and they try to put less than or equal to or just less than, but that's not true. Same thinking as the less than or equal to. If it's at least something, can it be smaller than that thing? No, so it's got to be greater than or equal to that thing. If it's no less than something, can it be less than that thing? No, so it's going to be greater than or equal to. So pay attention to those phrases. You may want to have this chart written down. It is in your book, but it shows you certain types of phrases that go with each symbol. Are there any questions about that? Are there any questions about any of my inequality symbols or what an inequality is? We okay? Can I move on, or is anyone writing this down? Okay, I'm going to move on. So, example 1. Writing inequalities. It says, write each sentence as an inequality. These are hopefully pretty easy for us. It says a number W minus 3.5 is less than or equal to negative 2. So, let's get our inequality symbol first. If it says is less than or equal to, what's my inequality symbol? Less than or equal to. Right? Everyone agree with that? Okay, let's get the left side of our inequality now. the thing it says first before it says is less than or equal to. It says a number W minus 3.5. How do I write that?
W minus 3.5.
W minus 3.5. Any questions on how I got my left side?
No.
And my right side, the stuff written after is less than or equal to. What's written after is less than or equal to?
-2.
-2.
Yes.
And there's my answer for letter A.
Yes.
I wrote the sentence as an inequality. That's all it wanted me to do.
So you're basically just writing it out?
In mathematical form, yes. It gives the inequality to us as a sentence, and it wants us to write it mathematically.
Okay.
Questions on letter A? Okay, letter B. 3 is less than a number n plus 5. Raise your hand if you can tell me my whole inequality here.
3 is less than n plus 5.
3 is less than n plus 5. Is everyone in agreement with that?
Indeed I am.
Indeed I am as well. It says it's less than, so I put my less than symbol. 3 is my first statement before is less than. And then a number n plus 5 is after less than. So I know it's n plus 5. Questions on B? Am I moving too fast for anyone?
Yes.
Okay, I'll slow down. Any questions this far? Letter C. 0 is greater than or equal to twice a number x plus 1. 0 is greater than or equal to twice a number x plus 1.
0 is greater than or equal to 2x plus 1.
0 is greater than or equal to 2x plus 1. Everyone in agreement, or do we have any disagreements?
I agree with the statement. We did.
Everyone understanding where we got that inequality from and how we got it?
Yes.
We good with example 1? Any questions for me? Can I move on?
Yes, you may.
Okay, I'm waiting. Am I good to move on now? Sketching the graphs of linear inequalities. A solution of an inequality is a value that makes the inequality true. Same concept as my equations. To see if something was a solution to my equation, I plugged it in, worked down both sides, see if I got a true or false statement, right? Same concept here. If it gives me a value, to see if it's true for the inequality, I plug it in, work down both sides, see if I get a true or false statement. An inequality can have more than one solution. Most of the time, how many solutions did we have for equations? 1. We got x equals some number. Some variable equals some number, right? There were occasions where we had no solution. There were occasions where we had infinitely many solutions, right? For our inequalities, it'll always be either no solution or it'll have an infinite number of solutions. Okay? Very rarely do we have one solution. Very, 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 very rarely. Okay? The set of all solutions of an inequality is called the solution set. Pretty straightforward. The set of all solutions is the solution set. It's mind-blowing stuff, isn't it? So, in our little table here, it gives us an inequality, and it gives us values of x to plug into our inequality. So for -6, first off, our inequality is x plus 5 is greater than or equal to -2. So plug negative 6 in for x. Negative 6 plus 5.
Oh, negative.
Negative 1. Is negative 1 greater than or equal to negative 2? Yes, it is. So negative 6 is a solution for my inequality. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Negative 7. What's negative 7 plus 5? Negative 2. Is negative 2 greater than or equal to negative 2? Yes, it is. So negative 7 is a solution. Now, some of you may be thinking, negative 2 is not greater than negative 2, so how is that true? Is there anyone who thought that? It's okay if you thought that. No one thought that? Okay, good. Remember, for inequalities, if it's greater than or equal to or less than or equal to, it just has to meet one of those two conditions for it to meet the inequality. So since negative 2 equals negative 2, it meets my inequality because it's greater than or equal to. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does.
Okay, plug negative 8 in. Negative 8 plus 5. Negative 3. Is negative 3 greater than or equal to negative 2? No. So negative 8 is not a solution of my inequality. Does that make sense? I could keep plugging numbers in. If I plug negative 5 in, what's negative 5 plus 5? 0. Is 0 greater than or equal to negative 2? Yep. So negative 5 would be a solution. Negative 4 would be a solution. Negative 3, so on and so forth. Down here at the bottom it says, recall that a diagonal line through an inequality symbol means the inequality is not true. For instance, in our example for negative 8, the symbol greater than or equal to with a slash through it means is not greater than or equal to. Does that make sense? Just like if we have an equal sign with a slash through it, it means does not equal. Any questions for me before we move to another example? I know this is exciting stuff, but I need y'all to stay with me.
Very excited.
I know. Can I move on?
Yes.
Tell whether negative 4 is a solution of each inequality. Tell whether negative 4 is a solution of each inequality. So for letter A, I've got x plus 8 is less than negative 3. How do I tell if something's a solution of an inequality? I do what? Solve the... Well, this isn't an equation.
Plug it in.
Plug what in?
The variable,
Negative 4, right?
yeah.
I'm replacing my variable with negative 4. And now I'm just working down both sides of my inequality. Right? Does that make sense? Negative 4 plus 8. 4. I get 4 is less than negative 3. Is 4 less than negative 3 a true or false statement?
False.
False. 4 is not less than negative 3. So is negative 4 a solution of this inequality? No. So I'd have to say negative 4 is not a solution. I have to write that out. Do not put no solution. This inequality has a solution. I'm just saying negative 4 is not a solution of this inequality. Okay? So don't put no solution. Negative 4 is not a solution. Questions on A? Can I erase and move to B?
Yes.
Letter B. We got negative 4.5 x greater than negative 21. What do I need to do here? to tell if negative 4 is a solution?
You would replace x with negative 4, so it would multiply times negative 4.5.
Very good. What's negative 4.5 times negative 4?
18.
Positive 18. Okay, 18 is greater than negative 21. Is that a true or false statement? True. 18 is greater than negative 21. So what does that mean?
True statement.
It is a true statement. But what do I have to write now?
Negative 4 is a solution.
Negative 4 is a solution. Any questions on that? We good with telling if something's a solution or not?
Yes, I am.
Can I move on?
Yes.
Moving on. Now let's talk about graphing. Hopefully you guys remember graphing. Do you guys remember open dot, closed dot?
Yes. Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So the graph of an inequality shows the solution set of the inequality on a number line. So we're not talking about an XY coordinate grid like this. We're just talking about a number line. Okay? An open circle shows a picture up there, but if you can't see it, it's just a circle that's not colored in. Open circle is used when a number is not a solution. So if the number that I'm dealing with is not a part of the solution set, I use an open circle. A closed circle that's shaded in is used when a number is a solution. So if the number I'm dealing with is a part of the solution set, I put a closed circle on it. An arrow to the left or right shows that the graph continues in that direction. So I've got a shade to one side of my point and put an arrow with it to show that the solutions are all the numbers that are greater than or equal to or less than or equal to, greater than or less than that number. Y'all somewhat remember that from pre-algebra.
Yes.
So this should hopefully be easy for us. Are we still writing? Can I move on? Huh? To what? Okay. What's a good indicator on whether to use an open dot or a closed dot? Does anyone remember that?
Yeah, it's the line underneath the alligator.
Very good. The line underneath my inequality symbol or the no line. If it's got a line under it, am I going to have an open dot or closed dot? Closed dot. So that'd be less than or equal to or greater than or equal to. Line under it or no line? No line. So that'd be less than or greater than. That's what we're going to do, okay? It's got a line under it. It's a closed dot. If it does not have a line under it, it's an open dot. Or circle, whatever you want to call it. We'll see if my screen catches up with my iPad. There we go. Questions on graphing inequalities? Okay, moving on to some examples. Okay, moving on to some examples. It says graph each inequality. So for letter A, I've got y is less than or equal to negative 3. Okay. My symbol is less than or equal to, correct? So is this going to be an open circle or a closed circle? Closed, because it's or equal to. Where is my dot going? My dot, not my shading. On the negative 3. So it's saying y is less than or equal to negative 3. So I've got a closed dot, closed circle on negative 3. Everyone good? Identifying whether it's open circle or closed circle.
Yes, I am.
Now I've got a shade. Raise your hand if you can tell me which way I'm shading.
To the left.
Why?
Well, from what I know, is
Well, I've got negatives to the right also. So how are you determining what's the negative side? You know what I mean?
Right. Well, it's like, I don't got a proper
The arrow points to
explanation.
the left, which means the numbers are lower, less than.
Very good. Now, I'm okay if you use this trick on shading whichever way the arrow's pointing. Be careful with that though. You can only do that if the variable's on the left-hand side. Because on letter B, we're going to see something different. So in letter A is the variable on the left-hand side.
Yes.
Yes. So I can use my trick. The arrow's pointed to the left, shading to the left. And I got to put my arrow on it, saying that that solution set goes on forever and ever and ever to the left.
Yes.
Everyone got that? We can also think about what the inequality is telling us. My y is my unknown. So my y needs to be any value that is less than or equal to negative 3. Less than, right? So, if I'm thinking about less than and greater than, is less than going to be to the left of negative 3 or to the right of negative 3? To the... Let me ask this again. Are numbers that are less than negative 3 going to be to the left of negative 3 or to the right of negative 3? To the left. So that's why I'm shading left. Does that make sense? Okay, letter B. Oops. Okay, open circle or closed circle? Open. There's no line underneath my symbol, so I know it's open. Where's my circle going? On 2. So is 2 a solution to this inequality?
No.
No. It stops at 2, but 2 is not included. Okay. Before, what I said earlier on letter A, a lot of us would have probably said, oh, shade left here, right? Because it's pointed to the left.
Yeah.
A lot of us would probably said that.
I would have said that.
You would have said that, right? That is not the case. Remember, I said, make sure the variable's on the left-hand side if you're going to use the trick. Is the variable on the left-hand side here?
No, it did not.
Okay. The variable's on the right-hand side, I've got to do the opposite of the way the arrow's pointing. So if the arrow's pointing to the left here, which way am I shading?
Right.
To the right. And let's look at why that is. Let's rewrite our inequality where the variable's on the left-hand side. So I've got x on the left, 2 on the right. What's my inequality symbol now? Greater than. The open mouth of the alligator has to stay with the x. The point of the arrow has to stay with the 2. So when I flip my inequality, I've got to flip the inequality symbol as well. Okay? Is the variable now on the left-hand side?
Yes.
Which way is the arrow pointing?
To the right.
To the right. Because I'm wanting all values that are greater than 2. Correct?
Yeah.
So is greater than 2 to the right of 2 or to the left of 2? To the right of 2. So all values that are greater than 2 needs to be to the right of 2. We good with that?
Yes, sir.
So don't just look at the symbol automatically and say, oh, it's to the left. Because it's not the case here. See where your variable is and then look at your symbol. Okay? Any confusion there? Letter C. Someone raise your hand to help me out on the whole thing.
Your circle, which is going to be open, is going to be on 0.
Open circle on 0.
And then the way that it will be going would be to the right.
Very good. I'm shading to the right.
And that is great.
Everyone in agreement, or do we have any disagreements? I agree with that. Open circle on 0. There's no line on it. So I know it's an open circle. 0 is not included in my solution set. shaded to the right because it's wanting all values that are greater than 0. Okay? These graphs represent the whole solution set of each of these inequalities. Each of these inequalities has an infinite number of solutions, do they not? Because my graphs keep going on forever and ever and ever in both directions. These are all just shaded in one direction or the other. I've got an infinite number of numbers to the right. I've got an infinite number of numbers to the left. So this graph helps represent every single solution. So on letter A, is negative 100 a solution?
No, wait, yeah.
Yes, it is, because that'd be in my shaded region. What about positive 20? Would that be a solution?
No.
No, because it's not in my shaded region. What about negative 2? No, negative 2 is not in my shaded region, is it? What about negative 3?
Yes.
Yep, it's a closed circle. So it's shaded on negative 3, so negative 3 is the solution. Y'all see how we're understanding the graphs? Can I move on?
Yes.
All right, almost done. Okay. Previous slide, we were given an inequality, and it wanted us to create a graph. Here, it gives us a graph, and it wants us to write an inequality. So it says the graphs show the height restrictions, h, in inches, for 2 rides at an amusement park or the state fair, which is coming up, by the way. Write an inequality that represents the height restrictions of each ride. So let's do ride A together. Which variable am I dealing with for ride A? H, because it tells me the height restrictions are h in inches. So I know my variable is h. What number is my circle on? 48. So I know that's the number I'm dealing with. Everyone with me? Is it an open circle or closed circle? Closed. So is my inequality symbol going to have a line or no line under it? Line. Now it is shaded to the right of 48. So are the numbers to the right of 48 greater than 48 or less than 48? Greater than. There's my answer for ride A. Everyone see how I just processed through that? Get your variable, get your number, get your inequality symbol. Okay, someone raise your hand to help me on ride B.
Okay, so we have H, and it's open circle, so no line, and it goes left.
So what inequality symbol am I using?
The one that has an alligator mouth that was,
Okay, so less than.
and then it's on 52.
52, very good. Everyone in agreement or do I have disagreements?
I agree.
I agree. Any questions on how we got H is less than 52? Not too bad? Pretty easy?
Yes.
52 questions, get it done.
Can I move on?
Yes.
Okay, here's just a little chart. So we saw multiple representations of our inequalities today. We saw them in sentence form using words. We saw them in algebraic form using our inequality symbols. And we saw them graphically on a number line. So this is just a representation of all 3 of those types of showing inequalities. That's in your book if you want to look at it more. But are there any questions about this before I move on to our assignment? So I can move on? Pages 64 through 65. Numbers 6 through 46 evens. This will be due Thursday, September 16th on Canvas. We haven't done bookwork in a while, so make sure we're getting the correct heading on our paper. Name, date, period, assignment, upper right-hand corner. Get this written down so I can turn my projector off. Now, this may seem like a lot of problems. It kind of is. But, do these problems take very long at all? No. It's either writing an inequality from a sentence, or writing an inequality from a graph, or graphing an inequality. I think that's pretty much the types of problems you're going to see. So they should go pretty quick. Okay? Are there any questions before I end my recording? Are there any questions about the notes before I end my recording? Okay.